Good morning, everybody. Today our lecture about Unit 2. Unit 2 is talking about present simple tense and present continuous tense. As you know that your book is headway intermediate level, okay? So you should have it. طلاب ممكن تشتروه من مكتبة ماجد أو تتابعون هاي المحاضرة. You can follow this lecture and you will understand everything, okay? Okay, so we will start with the present simple tense. In order to form a sentence in English, we need the time and we need the aspect. The time is represented by the present, okay? And the aspect is represented by the simple, okay? So, with the present simple, we are talking about what? An action that happens again and again, okay? Something like a fact. Now let's talk about the formula of this tense. We have the active and we have the passive. Now about the active, we have the subject plus the verb in order to form what? Present simple tense, okay? يعني نحتاج الفاعل ونحتاج الفعل حتى نكون ال present simple tense, okay? For example, we have I work. This is in the positive status, sorry, okay? I work. So we have the subject and we have the verb work. What's about the negative status? Okay, we need to form in order to form negative, we need to add what? Do or does with the what? With the simple tenses, as we said before. So I don't work, okay? If the subject is he, we should say what? He doesn't work, okay? He doesn't work, I don't work. This is in the negative. What about the questions? In order to form the questions, we need to add the auxiliary verbs do or does, okay? So, where do you work? Okay? This is in the question status. Now, what's about the use or the usage of present simple? When we can use it or express what? The present simple is used to express what? Number one, a habit. Look, it expresses a habit. What does this mean? An action that happens again and again. Something انت معتاد عليه. Okay? For example, I wash my car every week. So this is like what? Like something you are doing it again and again. Okay? You never will stop doing this, okay? Now, what's about a fact? Also, we used it in order to express a fact that is always true. For example, my daughter has blue eyes. What does this mean? يعني إذا واحد عنده فد شيء بشخصيته معين، فد description معين، أكيد راح يبغى نفس description. Maybe he will change his style, but the personal characteristics cannot be changed, okay? So this is a fact. Number 3, a fact that is true for a long time. For example, a state. What does this mean? He works in a bank. So if somebody is working in a place, specific place, normally he will not stop or cut his work in this place, okay? In this specific place, he will continue for a long time. That's why we use present simple tense, okay? For example, I prefer coffee to tea. So this is also a state about you. I live in a flat near the center of a town. This is a state, okay? Maybe you will change your place of residency, but it's still, if you are living in some place, you will still for a long time living or live in that place, okay? Now, what's about the adverbs? we should pay attention to the adverbs that can be used with the present simple tense. Mostly we use always. For example, she always goes by car. We can use usually. For example, they usually eat fish. Mostly we can use often. I don't often go to bed late. Sometimes, so many times we use sometimes with the present simple tense. For example, she plays tense. Sometimes, rarely and never can be used with the present simple, but not too much. Okay. So if you would like to know the tense of any sentence, you should pay attention to the adverbs of this sentence. Now all of this talking or all of this speech, it's about what? Present simple in the active status. Now what's about passive? The passive, we use the passive when we want to focus on the object rather than the subject. What does this mean? In other words, we're interested or we would like to move the focus from the subject to the object of the active sentences. For example, if we are, for example, Shakespeare wrote Hamlet, for example. If we are interested about Hamlet more than Shakespeare, we can say Hamlet is written by Shakespeare. So we are interested more in Hamlet more than Shakespeare, more than who wrote this novel. Okay? For example, all the employers are invited every year by the company. Sometimes we can use by in order to introduce the agent or describe or mention the agent. Okay. So يعني طلاب بكلام آخر الباسيف المبني المجهول نستخدمه لما نحن عندنا فوكس أو تركيز أكثر على المفعول به rather than السبجكت اللي هو الفاعل. Okay, so that's why we use the passive, but the meaning still the same. يعني المعنى أو use مال present simple tense still the same. Okay. Okay. Now let's move to the present continuous tense. Now, what's about the present continuous verbs? The formula of present continuous tense is subject plus is or are plus verb plus ing. Okay. Okay, and this is in the active. For example, in the positive status, he is working. He is working. Okay. What's about the negative? Not like the present simple tense. We cannot add do or does. Just put not to the auxiliary verbs. He isn't working. In the questions, we just make swapping between the subject and the auxiliary verbs. Is he working? Okay. And you should pay attention. For example, the subject is he or she or it. We can use is. But if the subject is they, we, I, you, we should use what are. For example, I'm writing. Okay. When we can use the present continuous verb, tense. The present continuous tense is used to express an activity. This is number one. This is in brief. يعني الخلاصة هاي طلاب إنه usage or use of the present continuous tense. Number one, an activity that is happening now. Okay. For example, don't turn the TV off. I'm watching now, or I'm watching TV now. So this is an activity that is happening now. يعني فد فعالية أو فد شيء دا تسووه فد نشاط دا تسووه بالوقت الحالي. Okay. For example, you can't speak to Lisa. She's having a bath. Okay. We can use it also for a temporary activity. Okay, for example, he's working as a waiter during the holidays. The number 2 use is a planned future arrangement. What does this mean? If we have an arrangement in the future, we mostly use the present continuous verb tense. Okay, يعني إذا عندنا فد شي بالمستقبل mostly we use not just the future symbol اللي هو يتمثل will. No, we can use the present continuous tense. For example, I'm having a lunch with my friend tomorrow. So this is in the future, but as we all know that present continuous tense, something happened in the present time and continue to the future. Okay, that's why we use it mostly with the when we would like to refer to the future. What about the adverbs that can be used with the present continuous verb? The adverbs is now, at the moment, tomorrow, next week. Actually the same adverbs for the future tense. Now this is about the active of the present continuous tense. What's about the passive? The passive is the formula of the passive is object plus is or are plus am being plus past participle plus past participle. When we can use the passive, we use it also the same when we want to focus on the object rather than subject. In other words, we're interested in the object more than the subject. For that, we chose the passive. For example, the house is being recorded at the moment. We don't know who recorded this, but we know that the house is being recorded at the moment. Now, something you should pay attention to it, that some verbs that normally are used with the present continuous, for example, run, think, work, write, swim. And on the contrary, the other verbs that are used with the simple tenses, for example, like believe, think, love, hate, belong. So you should pay attention to the verbs that normally used with the present simple or the present continuous. So through this we can distinguish between the using of these tenses. So طلاب يعني انتوا لازم تنتبهون للأفعال اللي دائما أو غالبا تستخدموا للpresent simple حتى تفرقوها عن شو وقت تستخدمون present continuous. Okay, because both of them are present, بس الفرق انه ذاك present simple يعني action بسيطة، بينما present continuous something continue to the future. So I have listed here the verbs that are normally or usually used with the present simple, which is verbs of emotions and feelings like, hope, admit, love, hate. Okay, and number 2, verbs of thinking and opinion, for example, understand, believe, agree. Number 3, verbs of position, having, in other words, having, for example, belong, own, seem. هاي الأفعال التملك. Or verbs of senses, which is taste, look, hear, smell. لكن مثل ما قلت إنه بعض هاي الأفعال, this is very important. Some of these verbs can be used with the present continuous with a change in the meaning. For example, think can be used with the present simple and the present continuous. Okay, for example, I think you are wrong. Okay, this is present simple. What's about I'm thinking about her for a long time or all the time. So this is a different, يعني هذا اكو اختلاف بالmeaning. Okay, thank you very much, and if you have any questions about this lecture you can just ask me in the comments. Okay, thank you very much.